Welcome everybody, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to be with us today. My name is Steve Philp, and I'm the Partnership Director here at Portugal Pathways, and I'll be hosting today's webinar discussion on Portugal's Golden Visa. In today's session, we'll be discussing the latest updates around Portugal's Golden Visa investment route, the due diligence, timelines, and the process of securing permanent citizenship and an EU passport for you and your qualifying family and dependents. Before we bring in our expert panel, just a quick reminder to please obviously leave your questions in the chat and comments, and we'll try to get to them as we go through the webinar today. We will have a short Q&A at the end, but if we don't get the chance to answer all of your questions directly today, our team at Portugal Pathways will follow up, and we'll be offering obviously a no obligation discovery call with one of our experts. So let's get started. I just want to introduce today's panelists to you. Firstly, we have Paul Stanard. So Paul is the chairman and founder of Portugal Pathways and the Portugal Investment Owners Club. Joining Paul, we've got Henrique Nunes. Henrique is the immigration partner at CMS Law in Lisbon. So I thank you guys for joining us today. Let's get straight into it. And Paul, I'm going to start with you. So over the past sort of few years, we've seen many phased out residency by investment programs in Europe due to changes in regulations to property and increased scrutiny from the EU. Yet, despite all of that, Portugal's Golden Visa has remained really strong and is at a record levels in 2025. In your opinion, Paul, why do you think investors remain so confident in Portugal?
Well, there's many different reasons. It's a very safe country for a start. It's geographically positioned on the edge of Europe. It has, second best place in the world according to UNESCO for bringing up children. It has a great health infrastructure. It has fabulous people and culture. But moreover, it is a true residency program. So you have to, spend some time in country each year, 7 days. But it gives you that flexibility, a plan B to get a second passport and have access to 29 of the Schengen region countries. And there's no other golden visa like it. I mean, I was meeting some guys from Dubai who was talking about a webinar they did a few weeks ago about the benefits over Italy, Portugal, and Dubai. But as he said, we couldn't go anywhere near because we can't give them 29 countries and that safety and security. So that's why it's still the #1 residency program in Europe.
Thank you, Paul. We also need to talk about 300 days plus of sunshine as well. Henrique, anything else that you want to add on to that one?
No, I would just add that the Portuguese Golden Visa is indeed interesting because you can have a second residency in Portugal and free access to the Schengen area for periods up to 90 days, only with an investment and only staying 7 days per year in Portugal. And contrary to other programs that finished recently, like the one in Malta, the Portuguese Golden Visa program demands some connection of the applicant with the country, not only because they need to speak Portuguese, but always because they need to keep the investment for the 5 years, and they need to keep coming during the 5 years in order to demonstrate that they comply with the necessary requirements for the citizenship to be granted. So I do think that, as you said, that the Portuguese Golden Visa remains strong, and it's quite interesting in one of the best, if not the best, to get an European passport. So I think that these are the main reasons, along with everything that Paul just said, for the investors to be all this interest on the Golden Visa program.
Thank you, Henry. Paul, Portugal Pathways works with obviously families from across the world. can you share from your sort of recent experiences and discussions with these international families what their main questions are around Portugal's Golden Visa and what you see as the most commonly in these conversations? And, you know, what's your sort of best pieces of advice?
Well, it's about having trusted partners. I noticed that there was a note in here from Scott just saying about the backlog and 3 or 4 years before applicants can spend more than 90 out of 180 days in the country. Well, that's all about having trusted advisors. If you don't know how to navigate this with the right partners, and Portugal Pathways has put together the best in class, if you like, it from immigration to tax to estate planning, property management, whatever it ends up being. Because when you're entering a new country, yes, you can go and listen to the mood music on the internet, and you will hear all sorts of different things, from the mad to the ridiculous. But if you have the right partners, a lot of these things can be avoided. You know, now that bureaucracy in Portugal is a thing. You can't say it isn't a thing, because it is. But if you have the right people, some of the things that you hear don't necessarily have to happen if you manage that process. You know, Henrique and I have had people that contacted us that have been waiting for 18 months for something, and then quickly we've shown them the way that they can navigate these things. And 3 or 4 months later, you know, they have seen the light now. But that's why it's so important to have trusted partners on this route. And that's the thing that we've done with all of that. You know, we've done it ourselves. We've done it for our clients. And there was a guy we had from Michelin. He's actually an international tax advisor for Michelin, the 4th most respected brand in the world, as in Michelin star and all the rest of it. He tried to do it on his own. He's a lawyer. He said to me, "I wish I'd met you guys, because I was like a boat without a sail." And he's introduced us to many different clients, because you don't know what you don't know, and you won't find it on Facebook or in Reddit. You need to talk to proper people that have walked this path and actually have got the ear of what's going on in government, got the ear of what's going on across the legal profession, the financial profession, and that to me is the most important thing of all.
Thank you, Paul. Very helpful. Paul, for our audience, I'd like to also help them.
Sorry, Steve.
Go on, Henry. Yeah,
Let me just. It was exactly what Paul said, but just for people to understand what we are talking about regarding the mechanism that we can use in order not to wait that long. Just for everyone that is listening to us to understand what we are talking about. So, the main purpose of 99% of the people applying for the Golden Visa, it's the passport and not the visa itself. According to one of our last legal amendments, it starts counting for the citizenship, for the years you need to accumulate of legal residency for citizenship, not from the moment that you get the first card, but from the moment we submit the Golden Visa online. So even if it takes 1 year or 1.5 years or whatever, the purpose start being achieved from the moment we file it online. This is the first comment I wanted to add. So even if it takes longer, the years start accumulating from the moment we file everything online. Besides that, as Paul was saying, we have been using a lot. So I think we filed easily 30 or 40 in the last 1.5 years. Well, in the Anglo-Saxonic world, what you call a subpoena and what we call an intimation for the protection of constitutional rights. So most of the applicants, as I was saying, they would like to they don't mind waiting 1 or 2 years because it's counting for the citizenship. But for all of those by any reason want to have access to the visa, to the Golden Visa, we can file this subpoena, this claim for the protection of constitutional rights, and we are having really good results, and we can expedite the access and the granting of the Golden Visa. Okay, in the beginning it was taking, as Paul was saying, 2 or 3 months. Now it's taking a little bit longer, like around 5. But just for everyone to understand that exactly that's it's possible to file this claim, this intimation for the protection of constitutional rights in order, well, alleging the right facts and complying with the necessary requirements. But it's possible to expedite the golden visa file, and we do know how to do so. Okay, and we have been having really good results in the intimations and the subpoenas that we have been filing recently. Sorry, I just wanted to add this.
No, I think that's really important to clarify that, Henrique. So thank you for stepping in. And again, I was just going to go back to you, Paul, and obviously for our audience, could you sort of help them understand the fund route landscape as it is, and this is obviously the main route that people choose when investing through obviously Portugal's Golden Visa. We now know that there are sort of 50 plus CMVM regulated funds in Portugal that are approved for Golden Visa. So how can individuals find these funds and research them? And what due diligence or criteria should they use when considering which fund or funds to choose?
Yeah, I mean, the fund route, which is the route that 99% of people, there are other routes, but they are much more complicated and much more prone to risk, because you have to maintain a number of jobs every year, and that's very difficult to do over a 5-7 year period. So the fund route is the preferred route of 99% of people. And what we have done is we've created an index, a Golden Visa index of all of the major funds. So 30 of the 50 that you said that illustrate, everything about those funds, from their fees, their track record, their thesis, the sectors they're in, the diversification, what they project in terms of their forward forecasts. But and past performance, whilst very important, isn't a prerequisite of future performance. It's a good place to start. Also, what is their experience in those sectors? How long have they been fund managers? Because some of those funds in that top 30 are on their 10th or 12th fund. So, that gives an indication of their longevity. And then also you've got people that are in the sinews of Portugal in terms of the families and the sectors. And because Portugal doesn't have, it's a small country and it doesn't have like the FTSE or the NASDAQ, it's a very small public stock market, 17 to 20 companies, predominantly banks and energy companies. So understanding the market sectors, understanding what's really working right now, renewables, healthcare, technology, media, agriculture, and hospitality. These are all helping Portugal punch its weight above the market, outperforming Germany, France, the UK, Canada, and many others on GDP growth currently and forecast. And Europe now, the European Union, sees it as a contributor, so wants to give other money to infrastructure that only supports those investments, which is non-dilutive. So Portugal's in a really good place right now. The Ernst & Young, at the end of last year, did a report saying investor confidence in Portugal is at an all-time high. And that's because talent is coming to the country and money is following the talent.
No, thank you, Paul. Henrique, anything that you want to come in?
Yeah, no, I would just, it was perfect. Okay. And I think that I would just add that the clients that we have who have been advising with Portugal Pathways and through your index on Golden Visa funds, they are quite happy with the advice that they are getting. We are going to be available naturally for any clarification needed and for any, but you have been advising really well, and this Golden Visa index on the funds that you have work really well. So people, the applicants, the clients will be in the best of hands.
Okay. Just as an aside, one of my colleagues is just about to put up a link. Should you want a chat with a Portugal Pathways advisor to understand a little bit more about the index and obviously those 30 main alternative investment funds that Paul mentioned. So that link will be going up very shortly. Paul, how does, I mean, you mentioned before about obviously trusted advisors, but how does Portugal Pathways and its network of trusted partners ensure that clients are indeed on the right track? And what is the sort of optimal way to approach the Golden Visa application? So what's the first step? So again, I'll get Henrique to come in behind you with some of that as well.
Yeah, well, you know, you have to have a NIF ID, which is like a tax ID number. It doesn't require you to any tax obligation. It's just a number, and so you have to have that in the first place. To make an investment, you have to invest via a Portuguese bank account, but there are a couple of other options where you can use jumbo accounts to invest directly. So we have seen some of that, but ultimately the application process is about having all of the right documents in an efficient way, which is more on the Henrique's side. That's his specialism with his team, and getting all that documentation notarized and apostilled in your locality, so it can all be filed with the application. But the thing that I would say, in terms of it's knowing what you don't know is the hard thing. So what we do at Portugal Pathways act as an extension of the family that's investing, because quite often you can get, so I haven't heard, I don't know what this means, and you can blow it into something that is a big problem when it's a bump in the road, and you can quickly contact our team. You know, we create WhatsApp groups, and we can create WhatsApp groups that you know, we can have quick messaging just to make people feel at ease, and then point them back to the right professional for the next part in the process.
Okay. I would just add, Steve, to what it's exactly as Paul said. The idea is that the client feels supported since moment zero, which is asking for the Portuguese tax ID and opening the bank account, until the moment the cards are issued. Okay, all the tasks that will need to be performed in Portugal, we will take care of them, of course. The ones that we'll need to take care of in the country of origin of the applicant, namely apostille certifications and audit, we will not be there to do the things by the client, but we have contacts so that can help the client to take care of the certifications, to ask for the apostille of the criminal record, of the marriage certificate, all of that. So the idea is that from moment zero up to the moment the card is issued, that the client feels supported. Really quickly, how does it work? So we start by the Portuguese tax ID and by the bank account. We need to complete the investment. We will get one statement issued by the bank and another statement issued by the management entity, attesting that the transfer was made and that basically the participation units of the fund are deposited. We will gather together with this all the personal documents, namely criminal records, birth certificates, marriage certificates, all the required documents. We filed everything online. Okay, the Golden Visa starts online. So once we complete the investment and we have all these documents, we file everything online. We will get the pre-approval of what is filed online. After this pre-approval, there's the biometrics appointment. The applicants will come to Portugal for the first time. Actually, if they want to, it's the first moment they will really need to come to Portugal. Until the biometrics appointment, everything can be done remotely. I repeat, everything can be done from where you are, opening the bank account, asking for the tax ID, filing the Golden Visa request, everything. But when we get to the biometrics appointment, you will need to come to Portugal with all the family to collect the biometrics for the cards to be issued. After that, a few weeks later, we are notified for the payment of the cards, and the cards are sent to our office, and either we send it to the clients or the clients. There are a few clients that prefer to make sure that they pass by the office to collect the cards in order to assure that nothing runs well. And in broad terms, it's this. But I think that the main idea is to that I wanted to let it here quite clear is that the idea is that the client is supported since moment zero until the cards are issued by us and by Portugal Pathways, of course. So we will be alongside with the client until the golden visa cards are issued.
Thank you, Henrique. Thank you. Paul, just sort of going back to tax residency, obviously it's my understanding that you don't have to become a tax resident in Portugal during the golden visa residency period. Can you sort of expand on this and that the flexibility that this offers?
Yeah, what a lot of people like, the other visas are known as D visas. There's D2, D7, D8. But they all basically require you to spend a lot of time in the country. So 8 months over a calendar year, which can get difficult for families because of obligations and life and work and everything, or 183 days consistently. Now, the golden visa only requires you to have 7, and it doesn't require you to change your tax status. So you can sit down with estate planning experts, wealth managers that we can sit down with you, cross-border tax advisors like Henrique's colleagues can work with you from a Portuguese tax and a US or UK or whatever jurisdiction is to work collegiately to work out when and if the right time it is to switch tax status. And that's what people like. We were at an event last week. There was over 250 people there, all looking at golden visa or the different D visas. But actually, when you actually talk to people, that flexibility of being able to work out during the 5 years when is the right time to change tax rate and commit more, because you need to find out for yourself, and you don't know what's going to be going on in your home country, which is obviously a lot of the reason why people are following this, because there's a lot of geopolitical, a lot of stuff going on around the world, which we all know because we all read the news, and people do want a plan B, and this gives them a plan B and access to those 29 countries in a very safe environment.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks for clarifying that. Again, just to let you guys know that obviously everyone's individual motivations and needs and goals sort of differ. Seeing lots of questions coming up now in the chat. One easy way of sort of seeing if this particular pathway it fits your needs is just to jump on a quick sort of no obligation discovery call, and again, colleagues will put up a link to enable that. So
let me just
sorry, Henrique.
May I just add something to what Paul said, because I think it's relevant and important, which is the difference between all the D visas and the golden visa. Okay, what is really quickly for everyone that is listening to us to understand. So the golden visa, of course, that implies an investment, but it has a big advantage that all the other D visas don't have. Okay, with the golden visa, you only need to stay 7 days per year in Portugal, and you assure that the golden visa is going to be renewed. All the other visas, D7 visa, which is the passive income visa, D9 digital nomad visa, D3, D2, whatever D you want to ask for, it has a different rule, which is the applicant cannot be absent from Portugal from more than 6 months in a row, or 8 months if in different periods and not in a row. Okay, so basically the golden visa, it's actually the only one that gives you flexibility enough to live in another place, because with the other D visas, either you live half of the year in one country and half of the year in another, or you find a way of conciliating, but it's a little bit more difficult, because you cannot be absent from Portugal for more than 6 months or in a row, or 8 months if you do it in different periods. I would just add to what Paul was saying exactly. So you don't need to move your tax residency just because you asked for a D visa or a golden visa. But if by any chance you want to see if it would be applicable to you or not, this EFC, or as we call it, the NHR, the non-habitual resident regime 2.0, So it has a personal we are talking about a personal income tax exemption available for some types of income, like employment income, self-employment income, dividends, royalties, interest, rental income, capital gains. All of this would be fully exempted of personal income tax in Portugal. Okay, and also 20% flat rate on employment income and self-employment income obtained in Portugal. Okay, just for people to have, even if general, an idea of this tax regime. And I think that in the meantime we lost Steve, Paul.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be back.
We lost Steve. It should be so. Just to finish, you don't need indeed to so you can have a tax residency without the need. So sorry, you can have a visa without the need of having a tax residency, and they can run in parallel if you like. But if by any chance you are eligible for this tax benefit program, I think it would be important for you to get informed, because it's quite interesting, especially this new one, this more recent one that was clarified at the beginning of the year, what we call the NHR 2.0 and the EFC. It's really just for everyone to have an idea.
And Henrique, I think it's worth us. We was obviously having a call earlier while we're waiting Steve to come back about. There's a lot of noise around the Golden Visa at the moment because of some
legal
debates
amendments
going on. Yeah, did you want to touch on that while we're waiting for Steve?
Yes. So without going into detail, because I don't want to bother with technicality. So right now it is being discussed an amendment to the citizenship law, not to the Golden Visa law, but to the citizenship law in Portugal. Okay, and it is being discussed the possibility of increasing from 5 to 10 years the number of years of legal residency that the applicants will need in order to be eligible for citizenship. We don't know yet what is going to be the final draft of the law. We don't know yet what are going to be the grandfathering regimes of this amendment to the law. We know now that the discussion restarted now at the Parliament, that we should have a final draft until the end of the week or beginning of next week latest, and that it will be, and that then after it will be sent to the President of the Republic for promulgation, for ratification, for them to approve it. If by any chance, even without us knowing what is going to be the final draft of this bill, what is going to be the final rules regarding grandfathering regimes, if by any chance anyone wants to step in before this new law takes into force, of course that we will have more clarity within the next coming weeks. But if by any chance anyone wants to step in before this new law takes into force, just for you to know that it's still possible. And there are ways of trying to file it as soon as possible, namely doing the transfer directly to a jumbo account within the management entity of the fund. Okay, so we would still opening the Portuguese bank account in order to have a Portuguese bank account open just in case. But if by any chance any of you are interested in moving forward as soon as possible, just to make sure that you file, believing that it's going to be beneficial for everyone who files before the new law takes into force, just for everyone to understand that we can still try to make it work before this new law takes into force, because we have the jumbo accounts, and we will not need to wait the 3 weeks that it takes to open the Portuguese bank account. And because if by any chance, if any document is missing, we file with the documents we have. We need to make the investment, and we need to have the investment documents, but all the other personal documents, criminal records, certification of the criminal records, marriage certificates, all the rest of the documents, if by any chance they are missing, we can file the Golden Visa request without it. And we will have a valid request, and we just need to wait afterwards to receive a notification asking for these additional documents that we not filed at the submission to be submitted. And it's this. So I don't want to go into details, because I don't think it's the right place for that purpose. I would just suggest, if by any chance you want to go further on this discussion regarding the legal amendments, please contact us. Please contact Pathways, and it will be our pleasure to discuss with you not only the legal amendments but also the possibility of submitting a golden visa before this legal amendments take into force.
And it's just worth reiterating, just going in behind what Henrique said. I would say, and Henrique can say different if he feels it, but I would say 99% of people that are inquiring are not, it doesn't make any material difference to them.
Let me say it in another way, Paul, which is, if you let me, sorry for interrupting, which is when we started, when these law proposals came in June, I was expecting, to be honest, that people would be a game changer for people that were interested in the golden visa. But contrary to my expectations, 99%, it's true, but it's true, 98 to 99% of the clients, basically what they come to us and say, okay, Henrique, it passes from, because I always ask the clients to do the exercise. Are you still going to be interested if it increases from 5 to 10? Because if people are not going to be interested, and we don't know, because we don't know the draft of the final, I was going to be the draft of the final bill, it's important for people to make sure that they are interested, even if it's increased for 10, okay? And as Paul was saying, and contrary to what we all were expecting, people are still interested. It doesn't matter if it's increased from 5 to 10. Of course, they prefer if it's 5, but they say, Henrique, I want to have an ongoing alternative, and I want to make sure that I have, if something goes bad in the country I'm at, and with the world going crazy, I want to make sure I have an ongoing alternative for me, for my kids, for all the family. And that is going to be achieved even if it's 5 or 10 or 7 or 8 or any of the other proposal that are on the table. So yes, as Paul was saying, it's just for you to have an idea, in the 30 around 30 that we are preparing now to be submitted, we have 2 that are waiting to see what is happening to move forward, but they move with everything up to the moment they can make the investment, and then they will make the decision. But literally almost everyone, the vast majority of the applicants, they are still interested, even if it's increased from 5 to 10. Yes, Paul, thank you. Important, pertinent.
Yeah. So what I was, the other bit I was going to say was, renewing the residency card is the same, is the same as holding a passport. It gives you can still come and go. So the plan B thing is what most people want, is that flexibility. And the residency card gives them that. I was with a load of Malaysian people a few weeks ago who basically are not really supposed to have a second passport, but they love the golden visa because, it gives them flexibility. And they can come and go. So whether it's a physical card or a passport, it achieves the same end. Ultimately, there's a question in there about how does it affect people if it moves from 5 to 10 years for children as they get older, Henrique? Is it worth touching on that? What that might mean?
So let me tell you. Yes, I can. So for the family unification request, Portuguese authorities love saying they cross-check with Interpol, with borders, with everyone. They do not. Okay, they only look to the documents that you put in front of them. So for the children to be included in the family unification request, there's no limit of age whatsoever. Sometimes there are errors and information that is not correct online, but there is no limit of age for a family reunification request for the children, okay? And I know this because I have family members with 32 and 33 years old. The only thing we need to show, it's 2 things: that the children are single, so not married, and 2, that they are enrolled in a school institution, in a university, in whatever, as full-time students, being the main applicant or his spouse or her spouse, the person responsible for the payment of the tuition fees. So the only thing that will change regarding children, because there is no limit of age, is that if it increases from 5 to 10, Each time you go there for a renewal, we need to keep showing that they are single and that they are enrolled as full-time students, being the main applicant or the spouse, the responsible for the payment for the tuition fees. I don't know if I was clear, Paul.
Yeah, no, I think it was clear, and that's at the point of the application. You don't have to worry about what's going to happen at the end. If they start that process, they follow that process.
I will just add to what you were saying, which is, so with the Golden Visa, it's not exactly like the passport, because you need to keep renewing it and you need to comply with certain requirements that you don't need to do with the passport. But it's true that with the visa, with the Golden Visa, if all of a sudden something goes bad, people can either live and work in Portugal or stay here only 7 days per year. So it gives this flexibility. They can live all along here. They can live all along. They can live full time here, or they can only come 1 week while they don't feel that they need to come here for more, basically.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul and Henrik. Apologies to everybody. My internet crashed, so hence I've had to move to a different room and reboot it. So anyway, we're sort of back on track. So obviously that was I was sort of listening intently there, and that was a really good overview of where we are currently. Sort of bringing it back to some of the other sort of key motivating factors around obviously the Golden Visa itself. One of them, Paul and Henrique, is that is motivating investors and families is Portugal's inheritance rules. So with no inheritance tax for close relatives and only 10% stamp duty for others, you know, how does this sort of influence decisions around the Golden Visa? Paul, start with you.
I don't think it's the Golden Visa per se, because the Golden Visa isn't a tax thing at all. It's a visa to give you that flexibility in Plan B and not having to be counting days when you're here. But obviously, it's a good thing, because there are many different ways. If during that journey you want to look at not having more security. I mean, it's a big subject for the Brits at the moment, and the Irish and some others, Canadians, where inheritance tax and the pressure. Portugal offers a good route, and there are many different ways you can go about that. But that's probably, it has to be taken by the individual, and we would have to have individual calls with individuals to how to navigate that. But obviously, what the only thing that the Golden Visa does, it buys you time to do that in a sensible way rather than a blunt way.
Okay, thank you for that. Henrik, sort of quick question for you. After sort of holding the residency for obviously the period that's required, investors can obviously apply for permanent residency or citizenship. What does that process entail, and what should Golden Visa investors be aware of when thinking about applying for citizenship?
To be honest, it's like right now, the permanent residency and the citizenship can be asked for at the same time, according to the legal framework currently in force. Right now, the only thing they would need to demonstrate was that they kept legal residency for the required 5 years, and they would need to have an A2 level certificate of Portuguese language. Okay, until really recently. It was only possible to get an A2 level certificate doing a written exam. Nowadays, it's possible to get an A2 level certificate only by attending online classes. Okay, I think you have the contacts for that.
We do,
right?
Yeah.
So it's something that we can. And the idea is, once we get, usually I ask for, I suggest the clients to start getting worried 1 year, 1.5 years before the fifth year is reached, so that once we get to the fifth year and to the time that we can file the citizenship request, that we already have everything that needs to be submitted for that specific purpose. Besides that, well, let's see what comes out of this amendment to the law. But regarding the requirements, this is the one thing that is going to change, that might change, which is the the number of years. The rest, it will remain the same, and it will be this A2 level certificate, which is actually the main requirement to be taken care of by the applicants. All the rest is just keeping the golden visa alive and complying with the requirements for the number of years necessary for the citizenship to be granted.
And Henrique, that's online hours, not just.
No. I said online. So classes online. So instead of the written exam, people can, through our contacts, attend 150 online classes. So most of our clients right now are going through this modality instead of the written exam, not only because it's easier and they prefer not to do the written exam, but also because it's not easy to find room in this, as you know, to have vacancies in this written exam, which is already sold out until mid next year.
Okay, thank you. Let's all bring the subject before we talk about go on to the Q&A, and we've got lots of questions in the chat. Let's bring it back a little bit and talk about obviously some of the funds and specifically, some of the structures. And we have to really, Paul, talk about or touch on the topic of diversification. So what should sort of potential investors know, and how can they sort of spread the risk when it comes to investing in golden visa funds?
Well, there's different types of funds. So if I just spend a moment just talking about what that looks like. So first of all, you've got open funds, and then you've got closed funds. Now, the majority are closed funds because Portugal's government is trying to, support the sectors that are driving the economy. And it's very much, there's very few public companies, as we said earlier. So you've got closed funds that are investing in healthcare, hospitality, media, international events. It's the third best place in the world right now to hold an event, a media World Cup coming there. All of these are going to be big drivers of the economy. Hospitality and high-end hospitality, is going up and up and up because the demands are there for it. It has the third best health infrastructure, and because everybody that comes has to have private healthcare, it has really good markets in private healthcare opportunities. So tech has the biggest tech summit in the whole of Europe, in the Web Summit, which is next month. So there are sectors there. So if you go in funds, closed funds that invest in those sectors, then you're going to get a greater diversification. If you go in a single sector fund that might, if Trump puts tariffs on healthcare or on biotech, then you are limited. Whereas if you've got a spread of risk, then you've got greater diversification. The other side of that, you've got open funds that invest in public stocks and bonds, so the stock market in Portugal and the bonds. But obviously, that is a small market cap. So whilst it has performed pretty well over the last 3 years, if you take a 10-year period, because it's a small public market, it has seen some corrections during the 10 years. So, if the NASDAQ sneezes or the FTSE has a cold, then, Portugal will be more affected, its public markets. But some people like a little bit of combination of open funds and closed funds. So you can invest in more than one. So you might put 20% of it in an open fund and an 80% in a closed fund that's divested across multiple sectors, as an example. But diversification isn't just about those funds. A lot of people around the world, European private equity is outperforming the Magnificent Seven right now. So the Apples and the Googles, the private markets in Europe and in Portugal in particular is outperforming the market. Now, it's not a precursor to say that current experience will be replicated forever and a day, because nobody can guarantee that. But all of the forecasters are saying that the S&P rating for Portugal is gone up each time over the last 3 years. Same with the Fitch economic rating. Inflation is steady. You've got a safe and secure. You haven't got problems around that country that you have in other parts of Europe, around the world. So, it is a stable country right now. And because of the money coming in and the talent coming in, if you've got diversification through the funds, you've also got diversification. And what we're seeing, I've been on many calls with American advisors saying, well, investing in Europe and investing in private stocks, I've invested in the US stock market for the last 20 years. And they said, well, it's this good thing to have diversification in Europe. Look what's happening with the dollar. Look what's happening with the euro. So diversification across funds but also geographically, it's a good thing to have diversification.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Thank you. Henry, just on the sort of same sort of topic. Firstly, Paul, I'm going to come to you again. Sorry, with regards to what should investors know regarding sort of promises of guaranteed returns?
Well, nobody should be in any fund anywhere in the world should be making promises of guaranteed returns because these are you're investing, and investing comes with risk, and you just need to sit down with your advisors and our team and advisors that we can bring that are European qualified through that process to understand your risk reward profile. Where are you in your cycle to manage risk? But anybody that is promising you guarantees should come with a big health warning, because there are no guarantees. But what you can do is look at people's track records. You can look at what sectors they're in. You can look at what their fee structure. You can look at how many funds they've been. Do they have, history in these markets? And you can mitigate its risk. And then the other thing you've got is the trajectory of the country. The country is, it's in its best place economically. You'd have to go back probably quite a few hundred years to go back to where it is today and where it's heading. So, Portugal is a strong market, but nobody can write the future, because we're seeing around the world that certain things are uncertain. But, Portugal is one of the safest right now.
Okay, thank you, Paul. And just on the same topic, and I'll come to you, Henrique, on this. What should the audience know with regards to sort of fee structures, carried interest, and lockup periods before sort of committing with the investment?
What is it for me?
Yeah, I was going to say it's a strange one to ask, Henrique.
Sorry. I thought you were going to Paul. You were asking regarding fees.
Paul, you can take that one.
Sorry, I thought you were going to Paul before going to.
No. So I mean, at the end of the day, obviously the Portuguese government want you committed to your 500,000 investment, whether it's in one or more funds. So the lock-in period is very much aligned to your outcome. Your outcome is to get the Golden Visa Residency card, and you keep using that, renewing that every 2 years. And then when you get to the end of 5 years, you can currently apply for permanent citizenship, and that's going to take a bit of time. And then you can then eventually, whether it's in 5 years or 10 years, you will get that permanent EU passport. So you are locked in indirectly, because if you take your money out, you've invalidated your whole reason for doing it. So your plan B becomes irrelevant. You might get some money back, you might get upside, you might whatever, but you won't have the European citizenship at the end of it. So that's the main point of it. your money needs to stay invested. That's what the government wants, and that's why they're giving you access to the whole of Europe, along with the 7 days and the online citizenship and learning of the language.
Lovely, thank you.
I would just add, Steve, regarding our fees, how do we charge it? Okay. Regarding the legal fees, so regarding administrative fees, it's important to understand that we have all this information. So anyone that wants to have this information more in detail, please please contact Portugal Pathways, and we can give you this information. But you will need to pay an analysis fee, which is not relevant, but an analysis fee when you file the Golden Visa request. Then you pay for the issuance of each card, okay, for the concession and for each renewal per family member, for the main applicant and each family member. Regarding our fees, we charge 9,500 for a family of 4, plus an additional fee for each family member. We charge 50% with the acceptance of the file, of our proposal, and the remaining 50% at the end of the file when the applicant and the family comes for the biometric appointment. Okay, we usually do it like this.
Brilliant. Thank you, Henrique. Quite conscious of the time, and want to get on to these Q&As, purely because I'm conscious that we want to finish around about the hour mark. So let's have a look at some of these questions. So, Henrique, one for you here. This is from Farah. I want to get a golden visa, but don't want the dual citizenship, as it would mean renouncing my current one based on my country's law. Can I simply renew it?
Yeah, no, we can. No problem at all. It can be renewed eternally. Okay, so if by any chance someone doesn't want the Portuguese citizenship to be granted, you can keep renewing. The only problem is that we would be talking about the fund. So when you when you invest in a fund, you get to a time where you have the liquidation period, where the liquidation needs to be done and the dividends need to be distributed by everyone. So the only thing would be, if you want to keep the golden visa, you would need to change to when you get to the liquidation period, you would need to make a new investment in order to keep a valid investment during the lifetime of the golden visa. But theoretically, you can keep renewing the golden visa for as long as you can, or as long as you want. You just need to make sure that you have a valid investment to replace the one that is going to be liquidated when the time comes.
Okay, thank you, Henrique. Paul, one for you. This is from Sarah. How tax efficient is it to invest in one of these funds in Portugal?
Sorry, Steve. I was trying to reply to one of the comments in the chat. So can you just ask me that again?
Yeah, no, this is from Sarah. So she's asking, how tax efficient is it to invest in one of the funds in Portugal?
Yeah, I think Henry did touch on this, but basically there is no tax on upside in Portugal on alternate investment funds, whether that's golden visa or not. So it couldn't be more tax efficient in that sense. Obviously, there are certain parameters. You know, if you're American, US connected citizen, which a lot of people are, we're seeing a huge amount of Americans coming through now. They're taxed on their worldwide income. So there will be some taxes back home, but they would have taxes if they invested in a fund back home. But they need to choose a QEF qualifying compliant fund, which within the index, we can identify those funds that allow them to have QEF compliant reporting, so that when they do the filing back in the States, it's as tax efficient as it can be, but you will have taxes in America as an American, but we can work with your tax lawyers in America and Portuguese tax lawyers to make sure that you make it as efficient as possible. But anyone else is no tax on upside in Portugal. If you're a Portuguese resident, there's 10% tax on upside if you're a taxpayer already in Portugal.
Okay, thank you. Sort of question from Mick, and again, Henrique, going to come to you. Is the Portuguese Golden Visa €500,000 minimum investment amount going to be increased? as he's
No,
heard
no,
other
no, no,
golden
no,
visa
no.
programs
No,
are
no,
looking
no.
to increase theirs.
So we never know what is going to happen in 5 years or in but not at all. So so it is, the immigration law was amended now, and that we are talking about the immigration law when it comes to the threshold of the golden visa, and that was not even touched. And now we have a moderate right-wing government, so they are in favor of the golden visa. So that is not going to change in a near, that is not changing shortly. Okay. Having this said, of course, that the idea is if the applicants are interested in getting the 500,000, I'm saying that it's not changing soon, but we never know if it's going to change in 3 years, in 4 years. So if by any chance someone is interested, we should file the golden visa now, and while we have this framework. But it's not, so it's not being discussed within the discussion on the citizenship law. That clearly was that was never discussed, and the recent amendment to the immigration law that was just now approved, that was clearly not one of the topics to be discussed or to be amended. So no, the answer is no.
Thank you, Henry. Obviously, quite clearly, we're not going to get to all of the questions. And as I said, obviously, the team at Portugal Pathways will reach out to you if we haven't managed to answer your questions today. Again, we will be sending out a replay of this webinar along with a link should anyone want to book a no obligation call with one of our advisors to talk about your personal situation and circumstances.
Steve, I'm not sure if I can just answer here one or two things that I could quickly answer.
Yeah, please do.
Just one quickly, because there are a few that are really quick to answer. So first of all, Luis was asking what is the current time for processing citizenship applications at the end of the 5 years. It's taking a little bit more than 2 years. Okay. So from the moment we file until the moment the citizenship is granted, it will take around 2 years, 2 years-ish for to be decided. And then there's another question here that is quite straightforward, which is to repeat the amount of the fees. The amount of the fees are 9,500 for a family of 4. Okay, 50% with the acceptance of the proposal, 50% later on when we get the biometrics appointment for the main applicant or the family. Okay, then this is for 9,500 for a family of 4. If we have more family members, we will charge 850 as an additional fee for any additional family member. Okay. And then I just wanted to touch base on another thing, which is because there are a few questions regarding the 250,000 of cultural project. Why don't we even speak about this? Why don't I even speak about this to my clients? Because this investment in cultural projects, it's actually not an investment. It's a pure donation. So this 250,000 is into cultural projects. It's a pure donation with no return whatsoever. So everyone would choose this 250,000 into cultural projects. They would be basically giving 250,000 to the Portuguese government. I would appreciate, because I want my government to have money, but it is not interesting from an economical perspective, from a financial perspective. Okay, and it was
There's also challenges in finding those projects. So there are also some law firms where they won't take them on because you then have the situation where you're paying for legal fees, and then if you can't find the artistic projects, then you don't get the application in because they only have so many of these. So it has a lot of challenges that haven't really been solved. And as Henrique said, it is a donation. And there is no return of your money, and there is no upside. So
exactly. I would just add to answer to another question. I'm not sure that if the Erin that we have here, it's the Erin I've been speaking to, but so Erin raised a lot of questions here. I would just add, so Erin, I don't think that it makes sense to speak here more about the Golden Visa Index. I would clearly suggest that you book a call with Portugal Pathways to go through this Golden Visa Index in order to choose. And there are another questions, and it's the last one I'm going to answer to. Please contact us. which is, so if we can do if you want to make an immediate investment and use a jumbo account of any of these management entities that exist, what would I need to do? Asking for the Portuguese tax ID, okay, which is basically something that takes us, it's literally this. We need to ask for the Portuguese tax ID. For that, we will need to appoint a tax representative, which is something really easy. And we can, in 1 week, we have a Portuguese tax ID. With that Portuguese tax ID and with the money available to be transferred to the jumbo account, we could make the investment really easy. And in 1 week, we would have the bank statement. In 2 weeks, in 1 week, we would have the management entity statement. In 2 weeks, we would have the bank statement. But to be honest, we would not even need to wait for the bank statement. If we see that it's getting super close, the time that of the new law taking into force, we can file it with the documents we have, even if we don't have the bank statement. So answering directly to the questions, asking for the Portuguese tax ID and choosing a fund who has the possibility of doing it through a jumbo account.
Yeah, and we can work through that at the same time in parallel with the immigration firm in terms of the fund selection process and which ones can navigate that, but also give making sure you know where you are with fees and where it's all going. The only other thing I would say with all of that is, in terms of the earlier you start this process, the earlier you have these discovery calls, the quicker you will have understanding of what is going to be right or wrong for you. But the program isn't changing. All it is how long you're going to be holding a card over how quickly you will hold a passport. So, but the principle of it is the same, and that's the overriding message, really.
Exactly. Let me just, Steve, are we? Do we still have time? Just for one minute?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
No, because I was looking. So the last one, I was looking here at Scott was asking. We have done a fair amount of research, and they are worried with the backlog. Okay, I don't. So that's why it's important to see with whom are you speaking, because yes, we have a backlog. But two things, it's starting to count. It depends on the purpose, on your main purpose with the Golden Visa. Because if what you're looking for, it's the passport and not the visa itself, you ask for the Golden Visa and it starts counting from the moment you submit it. Okay? So it starts counting, no matter which backlog we have, it starts counting for the citizenship, which should be the main purpose of almost everyone, and it works really well. If by any chance you want to expedite it, or to have access to a visa, we can move forward with the claim I already mentioned a while ago. I'm not going to repeat myself, the subpoena, or we can even ask at the same time for a D7, okay? So why? Because even if you are not going to renew the D7 because you are not going to comply with the minimum stay requirements, you ask for a Golden Visa and a D7, and while you are waiting for the Golden Visa, you will have your D7, so you can use it in order to enter and leave Portugal without problems. But if your main purpose, and this is for everyone, if the purpose of all the applicants it's the citizenship and not the visa itself, it starts counting from the moment it's submitted, and it's just a moment of seeing if you want to expedite it or not. The backlog right now, it's not being a problem because of this that I was mentioning. But Scott, please book a call and let's discuss.
And one other thing, talking about the security of these investments. Now, they are highly illiquid. They do have, risk, like all funds have, inherent risk attached to them. But, the reality of it is how you go through that process and how you diversify has a big impact on how you take it. So there's one particular fund that, it since 21 or 22 has taken 100 million and now is sitting on 350 million. Now, even with that example, doesn't mean to say that it's a guarantee that the next 3 years they're going to go and repeat that. But you have got a lot of people out there that are on their 8th, 9th, or 10th fund, and you've got to remember that 8 billion nearly has been invested in Portugal's Golden Visa since it was launched, and it's had a major impact on the country. So, and the CMVM, the regulators, make the funds report quarterly back to them. It's heavily regulated in that regard in terms of what they can do and what they can say and what they can promise, and they have to report to the unit holders twice a year. So this is not this is not a unestablished market now. Portugal's Golden Visa has been around a long time. It was originally in property, and now it's investing in more productivity related things that are driving the economy, and not property. But the property market is another success story in its own right in relation to people that have invested in property. But the country has a challenge in terms of its building enough houses. But that's another story for another webinar. So
thank you, guys. Thank you. So obviously before we do wrap up today, I really want to get Paul and Henrique your sort of closing thoughts. So if you like a key takeaway for the audience for today's webinar. So Paul, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, I would say the first, if you want that flexibility, you want access to a second passport and 29 other countries, and you want a plan B, then Portugal is the number one choice right now. But make sure that you're having conversations, not with the internet and Facebook and Reddit, having conversations with professional people and doing your due diligence, having discovery calls, because everybody's different. I mean, for instance, who qualifies? Grandparents can count as dependents. So you could have grandparents, husband and wife, and 3 children. And those children might not be children. They might be in their 30s. Now, all of these things and the dichotomy of what you want to achieve as a family needs personal debate. So get on a call and get some clarity of thinking and know where you want to go, or not. It may not be right for you, but you'll know if you talk to the right people and don't get lost in the dark web too much.
Henrique.
I would just add, we already spoke so much in this. I would just add that it's true that we have a backlog. It's true that it's taking much longer than it was supposed to. But what I have to tell you, it's still working. I'm having citizenships being granted literally every month. Okay, so if you are really interested in having an ongoing alternative, and if you want to have an access to an European passport without the need of living in a European country, the Portuguese Golden Visa is indeed the best choice, even with this backlog, because of everything that I already said. And we have been giving citizenship with Portugal, and through us, we have been receiving a lots of the positive decisions on the citizenship requests. So it works. It's live and kicking, and we are here happy to assist you in case you want us to.
Thank you, Henrique. Thank you. Just before we wrap up today, just want to reiterate that, again, you can either visit our website and learn a bit more about the Golden Visa on there. There's also a page where you can book a no obligation consultation call with a Golden Visa expert. And again, we'll be sharing this webinar along with links to book that particular call. Our next webinar, if you have an Irish pension, this could well be of interest to you. So this is all about navigating the upcoming Irish pension changes, and that is on October the 28th. And then outside of that, again, if you're considering international schools, again, the webinar that we've got on the 11th of November, which will be exploring Portugal's top international schools. That could well be the webinar for you. Again, we'll be sharing those links with you. And again, you can visit our website and our event page, and all our upcoming webinars are on there, as well as previous webinars on other subjects. So just leaves me to say thank you very much to Paul and to Henrique for giving up their time. Thank you to the audience for attending. and staying with us. So apologies, we've gone a little bit over. Hopefully you found it informative and insightful. As Henrique would say, let's get you a golden visa. Until next time, we'll see you soon. Take care.
Let's
Bye-bye.
get your golden visa. Let's get your golden visa. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Paul.